Alright, hello everyone, welcome. Well, I shouldn't say welcome. If you were watching this, you've probably already been watching for 5 minutes or so. Anyhow, this is the finished game of Europa Universails, butchered that name, that you just watched. So let's look at Europe specifically, because you can't always read those small names. We've got Brittany is the dominant French nation, and France is actually in existence, but hardly control any land, which is kind of funny. Um, Wales, and as we saw for a time, Wales had almost all of France under their thumb. That was pretty interesting. We've got Greek, the Greek Balkans, and it looks like they have their capital situated somewhere. Here. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that name. They've got their um, capital in the Italian peninsula, so that's pretty cool. Which of course means that actually the area that's actually Greece is named Greek Balkans, which is kind of interesting. So over here in Iberia, you've got Morocco that owns half of Iberia, so that's cool. And Vasconia, and I don't know anything about Vasconia. In real life, all I know is that here they own half of Iberia and a good chunk of France. So Rugai is king of the border gore, it looks like, with this horrible sprawling landmass here. Um, we've got the Prussians over in Russia. Hold on, let me see the regions. Um, Technically, they're not in Russia. No one's in Russia, but they're kind of in the area that we associate with Russia and the Ukraine. Yeah, the Ukraine would be about here. So, Samarthians. Well, let's go look at some of the other regions of the world real quick. So we've got Parthia, and I was not watching Parthia, so I don't know if they grew or shrunk, but they look about the same from the start of the game, which is impressive. Parthia is kind of unstable, always has been. Alania, yeah, we're getting into the point in history that I don't know a lot about these countries, but look here, Japan is unified, and they have a good chunk of Korea, so that's impressive. I suppose Japan always ends up getting unified a couple hundred years after start date anyway, but speaking of start date, we started in 19... No, just 50. We started in 50, and now we're in 494. 58, but, so this is kind of a long-running game. I let it run for an hour, 2 hours and a half hour, and then I'm just going through what the results are. So in the Americas, it's kind of interesting, but it's always kind of hard to analyze the Americas because typically they don't change too much. Um, Even still, though, it looks like this South Mexico area is really doing something. Alright, let's look at the religious map mode, because that's an interesting one. So, around this point in time, hold on, I'm going to Google something. I believe around this point in time, the Europe was really getting Christianized. So, let's look here. When did become when did Europe become Christian? So as we can see here, we have the Chalcedonians down in Greece, which is pretty correct. Christianity has been practiced in Europe since the 1st century. That's interesting, and it spread through the Roman Empire, which is, like I said, interesting. So Zoroastrian, I believe that's a precursor to Islam. Could be wrong though. We've still got these 2 Jewish provinces that no one ever converts. Like, ever. Zemal... I'm not going to try to pronounce that. We've got Slavic over here, although it looks like looks to me like the only people that practice that is Kievan Rus. So we've got, switching back here, Germanic religion is dying in favor of the Aryan religion. Now this is kind of interesting. The Aryan religion was a religion that denied the divinity of Christ, and the Chalcedonians stomped them out as soon as they popped up. But it looks like if we had let this game continue to run, Aryan would become the dominant religion of the world. Well, no, Europe. Because if we look here, we've got Aryans all over the place, and only like 2 or 3 Chalcedonian nations. So that's really interesting. That's not realistic at all, is it? We've still got Hellenics down in Africa, which is another interesting thing. Monophostites, not very much land down there. Chalcedonians, a little bit more. South Arabian. Can't remember if they were a precursor to Islam or if Islam stomped them out. But over here it looks pretty normal. Tengeri is stretching kind of all the way into Europe, and Confucian has taken China. Shinto and Japan. Of course, over here it's not going to be too different. You've got the Mayans, not going to pronounce that, Totemists, Shamanists, South Americans. Sorry. Um, it's really interesting. It's been an interesting game. We can see that most of Scandinavia is still untouched. Pretty much all of Russia is untouched, and I'm talking geographically and politically. As you can see, you can almost just drop modern-day Russia right in here, and it wouldn't infringe on anyone. Sorry. Except, of course, Crimea. Well, it's been an interesting game. I'm going to look through here to see if there are any other... Oh yeah, let's see if the Holy Roman Empire ever folded. And no, it didn't. Jean Mayen. The country that's not a country. Where? Yeah, they're somewhere above the map here. And we aren't a country, so we can't really do that. I can't... Apparently, I have an English... Apparently I have an English culture group as observer, which is kind of weird, because when I set up my observer, I set it up through Rome. So, now we know that. Anyhow, been an interesting game. Lots of oddities. I really can't comment on anything over here because I don't know what it's supposed to look like. I know what this is supposed to look like. And the fact that France isn't even in France, really, is kind of funny. Anyhow, see you all next time.